distance from your heart to your feet is only about 4 feet. Yet for millions of people over 50, it might as well be a marathon. Stand beside any busy street and watch people in their 50s and 60s walk past, and you might notice something subtle that most never recognize. Some move with ease, their steps light and purposeful, while others shuffle with a heaviness that seems to come from somewhere deeper than mere fatigue. What separates these two groups is often invisible to the naked eye, yet it determines whether the second half of life will be lived with vitality or struggle. Inside the legs of every person over 50, a transformation is quietly taking place, one that begins in the microscopic channels we call capillaries and extends upward, through veins that must work against gravity every moment of every day. This is not a disease, not a failure, but rather a natural consequence of time combined with the choices we make about how we use our bodies. When we are young, our vascular system operates with an efficiency we take entirely for granted. The heart pumps oxygen-rich blood downward through arteries with tremendous force, and the return journey upward through the veins happens almost effortlessly, assisted by one-way valves and the constant contraction of leg muscles during our daily movement. But somewhere around the 5th decade of life, this elegant system begins to face new challenges. The walls of our veins become slightly less elastic. The valves that prevent backward flow may weaken, and most significantly, many of us move far less than our bodies were designed to move. We sit in cars, we sit at desks, we sit on couches, and all the while, blood pools in our lower extremities, waiting for muscular contractions that never come to push it back toward the heart. This pooling creates a cascade of consequences that ripple through our entire physiology. When blood lingers too long in the legs, the delicate exchange of nutrients and waste products at the cellular level becomes sluggish. Tissues that should be vibrant and well-nourished begin to operate in a state of mild deprivation. The skin may become discolored, wounds heal more slowly, and a persistent heaviness settles into the limbs that no amount of rest seems to relieve. What many people dismiss as normal aging is actually the body sending clear signals that its circulatory needs are not being met. The science of this process reveals something both humbling and empowering. Our bodies contain approximately 60,000 miles of blood vessels, and a significant portion of this network resides below the waist. Every one of these vessels depends on movement to function optimally. Yet our modern lives have engineered movement out of nearly every daily task. We have created a world of convenience that our cardiovascular systems were never designed to inhabit. The question then becomes not whether aging affects circulation, because it does, but rather whether we will respond to this reality with intentional action or passive acceptance. There is a marvel of engineering hidden in plain sight within your lower legs, a system so elegant that it rivals the heart itself in its importance to your survival. While the heart receives all the glory in our cultural imagination, beating away in the chest as the symbol of life and love, the muscles of your calves perform a task equally vital, yet far less celebrated. They function as a peripheral pump, a secondary heart that exists not to generate rhythm, but to assist in the monumental task of returning blood from the furthest reaches of your body back up to your chest against the relentless pull of gravity. Without this muscular assistance, your primary heart would struggle desperately to maintain circulation. Yet most people live their entire lives without ever consciously engaging this profound biological partnership. Consider for a moment the mechanical challenge your body faces. Your heart sits roughly 4 feet above your feet, and every drop of blood that travels downward to nourish your toes, your ankles, your shins, must eventually make the return journey upward through a network of veins. Unlike arteries, which benefit from the forceful contractions of the heart pushing blood forward, veins rely on a more subtle mechanism. They contain one-way valves that prevent backflow, but these valves alone cannot overcome gravity. They need help, and that help comes from the rhythmic squeezing of the muscles that surround them. When your calf muscles contract during walking, running, or even simple ankle movements, they compress the deep veins running through them like a hand squeezing a tube of toothpaste, propelling blood upwards segment by segment, valve by valve, back toward the heart. This process, which physiologists call the musculovenous pump, or sometimes the soleal pump after the soleus muscle deep in the calf, operates most efficiently when we move regularly throughout the day. Our ancestors, who walked miles in search of food and shelter, activated this pump constantly without ever thinking about it. Their calves contracted and released thousands of times daily, maintaining robust circulation as a natural byproduct of survival. But we have inherited bodies designed for that level of movement, while living lives that provide almost none of it. When you sit for hours at a time, this secondary heart falls silent. The blood pools, the valves struggle, and the entire system begins to operate under strain. What makes this particularly crucial after 50 is that the efficiency of this muscular pump naturally declines with age. Not because it must, but because most people unknowingly abandon it. Muscle mass decreases, movement patterns become limited, and the very tissues that should be pushing blood upward begin to atrophy from disuse. Yet, unlike the heart, which operates automatically beyond our conscious control, the calf pump responds immediately and powerfully to intentional activation. You can awaken this dormant helper at any age, at any fitness level, through movements so simple they seem almost trivial, yet their impact on circulation can be transformative within weeks. The beauty of improving leg circulation lies not in expensive equipment or gym memberships, but in understanding the fundamental mechanics of how blood moves through your lower body, and then applying gentle, consistent pressure to assist that movement. The first pattern involves simple ankle flexion, where you sit comfortably and repeatedly point your toes away from your body and then pull them back toward your shins. This humble movement contracts and releases the entire calf complex, activating that secondary pump we discussed. Perform this slowly, with intention, feeling the muscles engage and release. 20 to 30 repetitions, several times throughout your day. The second movement takes you to a chair where you elevate one leg at a time, holding it extended while making slow circular motions with your foot in both directions. This combines the benefit of gravity assistance, allowing blood to drain more easily from the elevated limb, with active muscle engagement that prevents stagnation. The circles should be deliberate, tracing the widest arc your ankle joint comfortably allows, awakening the small stabilizing muscles that often go dormant. For the third exercise, stand facing a wall with your hands pressed against it for balance, then rise slowly onto the balls of your feet. Hold for a breath, and lower back down with control. This classic movement directly targets the gastrocnemius and soleus muscles, the primary drivers of your calf pump. The key is not height or speed, but rather the quality of contraction and the steadiness of your breathing throughout. The fourth pattern requires nothing more than lying on your back with your legs elevated against a wall or propped on cushions, creating an angle that allows gravity to work with you rather than against you. In this position, perform gentle ankle pumps, as if pressing an invisible gas pedal, encouraging blood to flow back toward your core. Finally, while seated or lying down, practice spreading and contracting your toes repeatedly, a movement that activates the intrinsic muscles of the feet and stimulates circulation in the smallest vessels. There exists a fundamental misunderstanding in our culture about what the body needs to heal and improve, a belief that more is always better, that intensity equals results, that we must push ourselves to exhaustion to earn any benefit. This mindset serves us poorly when it comes to circulation, particularly in legs that have spent decades adapting to stillness. The vascular system does not respond to aggressive intervention the way muscles respond to resistance training. You cannot force your veins to become more efficient through sheer willpower or dramatic effort. Instead, circulation improvement requires something our fast-paced world often dismisses as insufficient: gentle, patient, repetitive stimulus applied day after day, with the faith that microscopic changes are accumulating beneath the surface. When you perform these movements softly and consistently, you create an environment where the body can adapt at the cellular level. New capillaries begin to form through a process called angiogenesis. Existing vessels become more responsive, and the smooth muscle cells lining your veins gradually regain tone. These adaptations happen slowly, invisibly, requiring weeks or even months to manifest as noticeable improvement. This timeline frustrates people accustomed to immediate results, yet it reflects the actual pace of biological change. A venous valve that has weakened over 20 years of sitting cannot restore itself in a week of exercise, no matter how vigorous. The wisdom lies in understanding that 5 minutes of ankle pumps performed 3 times daily will transform your circulation far more effectively than an hour of aggressive calf raises attempted once and then abandoned because it felt overwhelming. Your vascular system craves regularity, gentle reminders throughout the day that movement is part of your life again. It responds to rhythm and repetition, to the quiet message sent through consistent action that says you are committed to this partnership between intention and biology for the long journey ahead. The flow of blood through your legs represents far more than a localized concern about swelling or discomfort. It serves as a window into your entire future, a predictor of independence, cognitive vitality, and the quality of your remaining decades. When circulation in the lower extremities falters, the effects radiate outward in ways that medical science is only beginning to fully understand. Poor leg circulation often signals compromised cardiovascular health throughout the body, affecting organs and tissues far from the feet and calves where symptoms first appear. The brain, that electricity-consuming marvel that defines who we are, depends absolutely on robust blood flow to maintain its function. Studies increasingly show connections between peripheral circulation problems and cognitive decline, suggesting that what happens in your legs today may influence your mental clarity tomorrow. Beyond the physiological mechanics, there exists a deeper truth about movement and human dignity. The ability to walk without pain, to stand from a chair without assistance, to navigate your own home with confidence. These capacities determine whether aging feels like a gradual expansion of wisdom or a progressive loss of autonomy. Every person who has watched a loved one lose mobility understands viscerally that independence and circulation are intertwined. When legs fail, worlds shrink. Social connections weaken as leaving the house becomes difficult. Depression often follows as the body's limitations impose themselves on the spirit's desires. Yet here lies the profound opportunity embedded in something as simple as ankle exercises performed beside your morning coffee. You are not merely moving blood through vessels, you are investing in future versions of yourself, in the grandmother who keeps pace with grandchildren, in the traveler who explores new cities on foot, in the gardener who kneels and rises without struggle. These movements, practiced with consistency and care, become a form of self-respect that echoes forward through time.